Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tim Atkinson from Leader of Down, and I'm joining Bruce on Brutally Delicious with the Leader of Down podcast. Have fun, and we'll see you soon.
We're good. Hey, everything's going well.
Good. Another miserable rainy day in England,
Well,
unfortunately.
It's cold here, but at least it's sunny, so that's good.
Good. We dream of the sun, Bruce.
Yes.
We get about three days of it every year.
I was going to say, you guys are known for being perpetually cloudy, right?
We certainly are. We're not failing to live up to that today and yesterday and the day before.
Excellent. So thanks for joining me. We could just jump right in and talk about Leader of Down.
Yeah, cool.
Let's start with the single, I guess. Came out yesterday. I was blown away by it. Such great hard rock. It's called Hitman. And now that it's done and complete, how did it come about and how did you get Dennis Stratton involved?
Well, you're glad you like it, first of all, Bruce. Yeah, it's a track actually that's quite an old one that was actually the origins of it were actually in a band that Wurzel was in before he joined Motorhead.
Oh, wow.
And I know it was one he liked, so we wanted to do it. And yeah, it's a really good track. And Dennis has been a friend of mine for probably 12 years or so. He lives fairly near me. I see him all the time. And he came and played a couple of songs with us when we toured a few years ago with Phil Campbell from Motorhead with his new band, Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons. And Dennis came up and joined us for a couple of tracks. He's a good friend, so it seemed perfect to ask him to join us on that. And I don't know if you've seen the video, but we had great fun with him in the video. He pretending he's a prisoner and under a pillowcase. So it was great, and we've had a really good reception to it. So it's been a long time coming because it seems ages since we've released anything new.
Right.
Obviously, due to the pandemic, because the album was finished a while ago, but our record company wanted us just to hold off until we could play live again. Right. So it's out, and I'm glad everyone seems to like it. We've had some good response.
And it's only like a week or two behind the full record, Screwtape Letters, right?
Yeah, that comes out on April the 8th. We've got another single coming out on the same day with a new video. That's called Cat's Eye Night. But the Screwtape Letters, April the 8th. So we're getting a lot of press now and doing a lot of interviews and things like that. So that one's a funny one because we it was named after the book by C.S. Lewis. And that was a gift that my dad gave to me when I was about 13 or 14, that book. Right. My dad was a priest, a vicar. And because obviously he knew I was into the rock and roll lifestyle back then, instead of giving me, so we say, a normal religious type book, he gave me that. And I always remembered it. And I always liked the title.
Yeah.
Of course, it also gives people the question to ask, where did you come up with the title?
Well, I usually don't ask that. In fact, we kind of stay away from that on the show, the stupid, basic questions like that. But that was on my list because I am a C.S. Lewis fan as well. And I was kind of curious, how that.
I think it's actually the only book that's ever been written that is actually a series of letters, because there's no narration as such. It's just a letter, reply, a letter, reply. I think it caused quite a lot controversy, as you say, in America when it came out. But it's a great little book. So that's where it came from. I've always liked unusual titles and unusual song titles. I think it gets people thinking a bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I've always been, I never knew where it came from, but, everybody gets uptight about you were just talking about, caused quite a stir in the U.S. Everything is banned, and especially books here, they're famous for, you can't read that. It might.
People control the Beatles book burning, record burning stuff as well. But if you read it, and obviously you have, it's a very interesting book and it's very well written. And yeah, I just always liked it. And again, although it, Wurzel was nothing to do with that title, they're also the sort of things he liked.
Right.
Strange things, not the mainstream sort of stuff. So, it sort of came from there. Really.
I think it's funny you mentioned, not into the normal stuff. I think all of us as a community have that sort of, it's kind of built into the hard rock, heavy metal vibe, right?
Definitely. I mean, you've only got to look at Led Zeppelin, the amount of songs that they had that reference Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit in reality. And I think we're all into sort of like a fantasy thing or something slightly perceived as being unusual or different. And I think you're right. Yeah, the whole sort of rock and metal community love all that sort of thing. So
yeah, it's very, very interesting. Anyway, sorry, I just got away from Leader of a Down for a second.
No.
Leader of a Down, sorry.
I think that was me, not you.
I like to just randomly chat. Sometimes you find the most interesting things. So record's out next week. Are you going to be touring the record, or you have any shows? I know you have a couple festivals.
Yeah. We've got a festival actually on the day of release, which is in England, called Heavy Metal Mayhem. We're headlining that.
Nice.
And an exclusive for you, Bruce. Dennis is going to come on and play 3 songs with us.
Really?
So we've got Dennis Stratton coming on for 3 songs. We're just getting back, really. And obviously, one of the problems is with the pandemic, and I know we've talked about the effects of it, is now we can play again. There's obviously so many bands all doing the same thing. So we're right? Yeah, exactly. There's just everyone. So we're now getting bookings for next year, for 2023. We've got quite a good one with Hard Rock Hell in January in 2023. And we're going to be touring again this year. We're going back to Germany, and I think we're going to, all being well, be playing in Italy in the autumn, the fall, later this year, which is the first time we've been there as a band. And things will appear. Hopefully this record does well. Touch wood. But we're getting quite a lot of good feedback from France. We're on a heap of radio stations over there with the new single. So again, you get promoters approaching our management and things saying, look, can you come and do some shows over there? So there will be quite a lot of stuff happening as the year develops.
So I know,
I can't wait, Bruce.
Indeed. I know we talked a bunch of times through the nonsense of the pandemic and everything we've been through, but what's it like to finally be on the upside of this whole thing and to finally be out playing shows and a proper release with in a real post-pandemic world, if you want to call it that?
Yeah, I mean, it's strange. I don't know how you feel, but it's almost like the pre-pandemic world seems a lifetime ago. Almost you can't remember not having a face mask in your pocket or feeling a bit strange if someone's coughing.
Right.
You wouldn't have thought that. So I think it doesn't feel quite back to normal yet. But I can't wait. I mean, the only way forward really is to get back out there and do things. And it's something we're really looking forward to.
The energy is going to be insane, not only from you guys, but I know from people like me who haven't seen shows in forever. Going to them, the energy is like palpable, and it's going to be a give and take like nobody's ever seen, I think.
Yeah, and that's the hope, and hopefully, as things develop and hopefully carry on improving, people are going to just really let themselves go and just really sort of release all that pent up energy and frustration. And shout louder. That's what we want. We want them to shout louder.
Right. Because I imagine that feeds you, right? And that gets you.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know what it's like. If the crowd are giving it back to you, you don't feel you're giving more, but of course you are subconsciously giving even more to the audience, and that's what you need, and that's really what a rock show is. And again, like with the community, you just mentioned in your previous question, that sort of stuff is quite, let's say unique, but maybe unique to the rock world. The
Yes.
shows are almost like worship, a church almost,
And family gatherings.
Yeah, yeah, and Lemmy, I know always used to say at the Motorhead shows, he was getting like 3 generations of people bringing their kids and grandchildren just to sort of take in what was happening.
Right.
And I think rock is really, probably unique with that. It's such a thing. You pass it down, don't you, to other generations? Check this out, And you get a lot of young rock fans, into stuff from the early 70s, late 70s, the 80s, and going back to Dennis Stratton, even though he's not been in Iron Maiden for a long time, that first album that he was on is regarded as one of the sort of greatest sort of metal things ever. Yeah.
I think you hit it right on the head. You're not going to find the community, like the metal community, in pop or country or yodeling. No. I don't think that exists.
It's the sort of music I think you don't grow out of. If you get into it as a sort of young kid, teenager, it's yours then forever. Where if there's other sort of pop bands that are around at that time, you might love them, but they tend to break up and stop. Like not the big rock bands carry on until they die, really.
Right.
And, being a huge Motorhead fan, you always used to say to Wurzel, it was almost like unbelievable. The band I picked as my favourite band didn't stop until Lemmy died, like 40 years of it. Whereas if you'd got into, say, the Bay City Rollers or someone like that, it was just a few years and that was the end of it.
Right.
So hopefully, because there's this thing called the new wave of classic rock, which apparently Leader of Down are part of, whereas it's not like the screamer metal or that sort of stuff. It's more of a sort of 70s, 80s style.
Right.
There's a whole heap of people that are now getting into that and, of course, want new bands because a lot of the original bands are in their 70s now. So hopefully we can bring that on. It's
funny you mentioned, people getting into it early, because I think you just get exposed to it early on and it's in your blood, and that's you're totally set off on a separate path, it seems like, from most people, right?
Yeah, oh no, definitely. I mean, I remember, I don't know if I've told you before, but when I first saw Motorhead, we had a show over here, which you've probably heard of, called Top of the Pops. Unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, but they basically just have whoever was in the charts. So, of course, if a heavy metal band was doing well, they'd be on. And I remember watching that when I was about 9 years old, and I saw Motorhead on it, and I thought, this is horrible. What's this? But it something there caught my interest. And then when they were on a couple of weeks later, I remember that, and then I was hooked. But it's so different than everything else that was on the show. And I think once you're hooked, that's it for life. Sorry, that's what happens. And it still happens.
So maybe I know the answer, and maybe you've alluded to it already, but what was the album that got you? Because for me, it's clearly, I'm going to give you a quick story. You're not interviewing me and you probably don't care, but I remember being in 9th grade, and there was this little record store across the street from my school, and we had saved up all our money. We went in there one day just looking for a record. I didn't even know what I was going to buy. And Diary of a Madman was on the wall. And it was,
yeah.
Holy shit, the artwork drew me in. I knew nothing about it. And from the first drums of Over the Mountain, it's been an addiction forever. What about you?
That's the thing. Well, that's the thing as well. What you just said is the artwork. And when you saw it on a vinyl record, it was whoa. I bought all sorts of albums just on the artwork. Yeah, they weren't necessarily that great, or some of them were, but the art, I've still got them now. The artwork was the thing. So, really, with me, the Motorhead stuff.
Right.
Then just bought what was out at the time. So the first Motorhead record I bought was Iron Fist. But I don't know if I told you, I came to the States when I was 12 on a soccer English football tour with my school team. I'd never seen Motorhead. They were my favourite band at the time. And I told the people I was staying with, because we were staying with host families, and I said, look, I've noticed that Motorhead are playing in the sort of town up the road. It was in Buffalo, in New York. And my parents always let me go, which wasn't true at all. I'd never been, because they were so willing to please, they took me, it was like 11, 12, their son, who was the same age, and their 9-year-old son,
Nice.
to a rock club to see Motorhead, and supporting them was Metallica.
Wow.
In sort of, with Cliff Burton and things like that. So I saw that, and then it meant when I came back to England, I said to my parents, well, I've been to see Motorhead, so they couldn't stop me going to see them again.
Nice.
But that's the sort of dedication I think you get with rock fans, that they want to, really push it a bit to actually get to see things, go to shows, and with all the early Aussie solo stuff, some of you were just saying about the album artwork was, look at this, because it really hadn't really been seen before quite like that. And some of the artwork he did for those early albums and the early singles, especially when he was sort of dressed up in the sort of the Bark at the Moon stuff.
Even the Speak of the Devil or whatever it was, where he was sitting out. Yeah.
Amazing. And that will live with you forever, Bruce, that thing. And I had exactly the same thing with Motorhead.
Right.
It was just, and then looking through, when I bought the No Sleep Till Hammersmith album and obviously other albums,
right,
you'd study everything to the nth degree. You'd look at the pictures and you knew the names of all the roadies and all the names of this and everything. So then for me to eventually become friends with them, like, good friends, and record with Lemmy. If you'd have told me when I was 11 that I'd record a song with Lemmy and play bass with Lemmy,
right,
I'd have just thought you were mad. That was just unbelievable. But it was also done on a level of being friends. It wasn't I sort of just rocked up and done this thing. It was lovely. And I always speak to Phil Campbell, and I saw Wurz's widow last week. And it's just weird, but they didn't disappoint me when I became friends with them.
Right,
they're the most wonderful, lovely people you could imagine.
So we got to thank the host family in the United States then.
Yeah, there you go, yeah. So back to you in America, Bruce.
Sorry, I don't mean to make it all about us, but...
But yeah, it's true, because that was, such a thing. And hopefully, we might get some people that think that with us, at times, not on the same level, but you want to make an impact. And I think, rock music does, especially for people who feel a little bit out of the mainstream. They maybe feel a bit distant or separated from, I don't know what it's like in the States, but over here, a lot of the young kids tend to all like the same thing. There's not as much separation. When they were like punk, the rockers, people who were into like new romantics and all that sort of stuff. It's very different now. So hopefully, rock's still giving a bit of an escape route or just a period they can feel there's other people that a bit different and like stuff,
Oh yeah, and I applaud you guys too for doing the actually doing a physical copy. We're talking about albums and the way it went, because I think that's disappearing. Kids like my son's age, they don't want albums. They want one single for 99 cents and they listen to half of it and move on. But
yeah, well, luckily Cleopatra, our record label, again, American, LA-based label, so it is coming back to you, Bruce, every time. They are on the same wavelength as us. We wanted to do, we try and make sure we've got a proper good booklet. The inner sleeve is pictures and stuff rather than just being a white one.
Even sequencing, right? Because sequencing's an art form that's lost.
Exactly. And this new record's coming out on red vinyl. I'm waiting on my copy. I haven't got it, but we will obviously send stuff over to you when we get it. But it was, it looks good, and it's almost like you've bought something. You've got something to hold, and our CD on this new album is a sort of 20-page booklet. We've put a lot of work into making it look good, because you can, what it's like. Sometimes even if you buy a CD now, sometimes it doesn't look like a lot of effort has gone into the packaging. It's just the lyrics on a black page in normal sort of Times Roman font. Yes. And then it says where it's, and that's it. It's almost like, well, what was the point of this? And luckily, Cleopatra has been absolutely fantastic, like doing a good package. And then it's more memorable, isn't it? If someone's, we're very grateful anyone, people who buy it, they've actually got something. It's not just the music, it's a proper thing.
Yes.
and vinyl's, recovering. Sales have gone great on vinyl with people. It's a new, almost people are discovering. There's a lot of sort of youngsters that I know that come and talk to me. They've just bought their first record deck and they're starting to buy vinyl.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant because there was
another addiction.
Yeah. Oh, no, exactly. They always say those things, don't they? Yeah.
Yep.
How much money have you spent on music?
Oh, my God.
You don't want to know.
I get tons of stuff, that comes in as promos and stuff where I was getting here, but there's nothing that beats besides going to a show, there's nothing that beats a Saturday afternoon with a good cup of coffee, looking through dusty vinyl somewhere, even if it's like somebody's yard at a yard sale.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you can find some great things there. But I think it's also the thing that, you'd remember listening to a record and there's an album track that you maybe didn't like to start with, but because you've got to listen to the whole record lots of times to hear the other tracks you like, you start to like it, and then you start to, and then it fits really nicely. So we've tried to do with this new record is to really make sure that the running order is a complete thing. So there's a bit sort of light and shade, if you will.
Right. So it moves.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, the songs that possibly aren't sort of obvious singles really do set up the other tracks.
Right.
Because if you had 10 tracks of the same tempo, sort of,
right.
It ruins the record. You need some of the other ones. I'm not saying they're necessarily worse songs, but they set up the next track.
Right. No, I get it.
Yeah, and that's what we've tried to do really with this one.
And going back to what I was saying.
Hopefully they all like it, yeah.
Yeah, and going back, that's something that takes a lot of time. It puts, you have to put a lot of effort into. And like I said, I get a lot of CDs and promo stuff and whatever, probably not CDs anymore. And not everybody thinks of that.
No. I think it's vital, really, because I always like to go back to when I was a kid. If it was a nice package and the album flowed nicely, you're going to think more of it than one that was just slammed together and just, this is track 4. What's it called? I can't remember. You want people to have an impact.
Connection. Right.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully, the people who are really into music are coming back to that sort of 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s sort of thing and really treasuring their sort of music collection.
Right. Cool, man. I don't have anything else. What's next for you guys? I know you got the album and the record in a week and then a couple shows here and there. Are you writing new stuff?
Yeah. We're playing in May with Phil Campbell. We're playing in a big Motorhead celebration in Blackpool in England. I'm coming over to the States to do some interviews and stuff in the summer.
Oh, really?
To New York and then Canada. So that'd be quite cool. And I think it's also just really thinking, oh, God, we can travel again. We can do this and getting used to it. And then, like I said, we're getting a lot of shows booked up for 2023. So it's all great, and I am part of the way through my next cooking video for you, Bruce. So we've got to try and top the last one. So there's a few fun little things when we finish that.
I am so happy for you guys, though. The record's done. It sounds great. You're looking out. You're playing around the country. You're coming to the States for interviews. So it seems like we're all on the flip side here, and we're back to.
I was talking to our German PR lady who actually has done the Motorhead PR for 20 years. And she said to me this morning that the reception to this record has been better than the last one, which is great. And I think it's just because people know us a bit more now.
Yeah.
The last one had Lemmy on it, etc. But I think people know us a bit more. And she's been really pleased. So I did an interview with Metal Hammer yesterday, and there's all sorts of stuff. So I think this is really the next stage for the band. And we can get some good shows and really take it forward. And we want to come and play in America, Right. I've got family there. I love America, and we really want to get over there at some point. Probably not this year, but maybe next.
But it's on the agenda, and it's actually possible now. And it's
And then maybe we can finally meet in person, Bruce.
Yes, have a beer and hang out. I feel like we're on a precipice, man. I think we're about to enter amazing territory again, like a creative renaissance almost.
Yeah, I hope so. And we need it. And I think if everyone feels the same, there's no reason that can't happen. And then finally, I can see that you're not an avatar or a hologram.
Right. But I think I know this has nothing to do with Leader Down, but I think even in the whole artistic community, right, people have been holed up and locked down for a year and a half, honing their craft and writing their music or painting that canvas or doing whatever. Now I think it's time it's just going to like explode.
Yeah, I think so. And we'll probably be sick of hearing stuff that people recorded in lockdown because we're out of it. But yeah, no, hopefully that's going to happen. And I think people have realised a little bit, Bruce, that the things that, if you're an accountant or whatever people do for a living, that it's the creative arts and music, theatre and everything, that actually is the stuff they're working to actually go and enjoy.
Right.
And hopefully they carry on realising that.
Those weirdos that didn't get along and were on the other path.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And you can all come together and have a good time.
That's it. Well, Tim, that's all I've got. I appreciate you taking the time and always taking the time to do my stuff.
Always good to see you, mate.
You too. I'm glad we're on the other side here. Be safe, my friend. Good to see you again.
Take care. Thanks, man.
Evening. Hey, we'll see you
later.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello out there. Yes, hello out there, everyone. I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean. Together we host None But the Brave, a podcast dedicated to the music and career of Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce and E Street Band are on tour right now for the first time in 6 years, and we're taking a detailed look at what's happening on stage in our bi-weekly episodes.
We've also been recently joined by some very exciting guests, including rock journalist Warren Zanes and Stephen Hayden, Backstreet's Magazine founder Charles Cross, and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
If you're a diehard Springsteen fan, this is the show for you.
So please subscribe to None But the Brave on your favorite podcasting platform, and we hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you.